Hello, 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 and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jameelah, and I am a master manifester, and I'm sure you are too because you are consuming content like this. The name of this channel is Holistic Manifesting because I believe in the whole body, whole mind, and whole being experience when it comes to manifesting these amazing lives that we're choosing, right? What I'm discussing in this video is handling other people's good news. So I was listening to my daughter the other day, which I get a lot of inspiration from the stuff that they bring to me, just FYI. And sometimes I mention it, sometimes I don't, but I do get a lot of inspiration from there because they're seeing life through a different lens than what I am. Because mine is like kind of, solidified in a lot of places. Theirs is kind of still developing. So it's kind of cool to see what they come up with. And what I notice is that when it comes to handling other people's good news, sometimes we're not always completely in alignment with the feelings or the reactions that we want to have. But this does not mean that we're some type of awful or bad person. There's good reason behind why we react different ways, right? So I've observed when something is if it's something you're not necessarily gunning for in any kind of way, it can be easy to hear the news and you can be indifferent about it and you can be happy that they're happy, right? So say you're a person that has no ambitions whatsoever to backpack through Europe, right? And someone comes and tells you, oh my God, I just manifested a trip to go to Europe and I don't have to pay for anything and blah, 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 blah. And you're like, oh my God, I'm so excited for you. There's a feeling that comes over you that may be indifferent because you're like, I would never want to do that. But at the same time, you can say, I'm happy that this person is happy. And it's kind of cool to see somebody manifesting something that they want in their lives, right? And then there's kind of also too, there can be a hater reaction. That's just like upset that, not even upset. It's like when people start saying, oh gosh, I would never want to do that, right? Then that's that's a whole different thing. Because I feel like whenever someone is showing you something that they have and you tell them, oh yeah, that's cool, but I would never want that, then you're purposely trying to show them that you are not interested in what they have or what they're doing. And that's kind of like a little hater response, right? But then there are the other times when it's something cool and it piques our attention, right? And not only are you happy for them, but a part of you is like, is that something that I want to do? Is that something that I'm interested in, right? I've had several conversations with people over the years, and I'll talk about something that I'm working on or doing. And sometimes I've had different reactions. And one of the ones that I love the most is when people are like, I didn't know you could do that. You can do that? And I'm like, yeah, you can do that. And they're like, girl, I'm going to look into that. Like, that's the coolest thing to me because not only are they like, I'm happy that you have this thing and I'm excited for this happy news that you have, but at the same time, they're like, well, maybe that might work in my life, right? Maybe that might be something that I'm interested in. And so then you might have a comrade when it comes to that particular area in your life and you can kind of work with them and like share information with them. I've had this happen in different ways to where I've even had this happen in like funny ways, to where somebody was, it was a long held dream of mine to do a specific thing. And I had tried to do it, but I was rejected more than once in doing it. And because I was rejected in doing it, I kind of put it on the back burner for just a little while. And then this person who heard me going through these things about trying and not being able to get it, they came to me and said, oh, guess what I got? I'm working on that thing. And I'm like, oh, well, that's cool. And I'm like, I feel a little bit kind of sad because it's kind of something that I wanted, but I need to be happy for you so I can push that to the side, right? And then years later, have that person say something like, well, I inspired you to do that because eventually I was able to do the thing. And I'm like, well, that's not really how that went, right? So you can have a combination of these things where someone will be piqued, their interest will be piqued, but they will never acknowledge that interest came from you. They'll never acknowledge that you're the one that kind of catapulted, that gave them the desire to want to go forward in that area. And they'll even rewrite the story and turn it into something else. So that's another way that I've noticed people handling news. And because I feel like we all experience these things, and while it may not be exact, but this is just a way for you to dissect what you're feeling and how you're approaching other people's good news or information. And then you can kind of dispel it, right? It's like once you see the fog for what it is, once you get closer to it and you start to really analyze it, just like fog in real life, it dissipates. And you want to be able to do that. You want to be able to look at your behaviors all the time and analyze them in a way that you can make it dissipate if it's something that doesn't work in your favor. So that way you're not always walking around being moved and pushed by your emotions. You can kind of be like, you know what, that reaction is based on, it piqued my interest, and so now I'm working in that, you know? And this is the other one. Another reaction, this is the one that a lot of people deal with, that they are ashamed of and quiet about too. Another reaction, and if you see me looking down, I'm just looking at notes, can be being triggered when someone tells you something about their good news, right? This mostly happens when it's something that we've been aiming for unsuccessfully and we've kind of given up on it. And then someone else just kind of goes right in and does it, or either they're motivated to do it, or either it works out for them a lot easier than what it did for you. And often we can get triggered in that sense, right? Because a lot of times we're like, well, why not me? Why didn't it work out for me? Why is that not something that I have, right? I hear women talk about this who aspire for marriage. I hear women talk about this who aspire to have children and families and all this kind of thing. And you'll look and you'll go like, you know, I kind of put it on the back burner. But because it's something that, you know, didn't seem like it was going to be available to me, I stopped talking about it, stopped thinking about it, stopped even hanging around people who made me think about it, right? And that happens a lot. And then this person that I haven't seen in forever comes around and they tell me this thing, and it completely triggers me because we haven't really dealt with the feelings related to it. We've only kind of just pushed it aside. And in those instances, we may try to cheer our friends on. We may try to give them, you know, that whole, oh, I'm so excited for you. But if it's deep, deep disappointment, people can feel it, right? So that's why I always say it's good to acknowledge how you're feeling and what's going on behind the scenes, rather than having other people scope it out and then see this in you and then think that, oh, so-and-so couldn't even be happy for me. It's not that I couldn't be happy for you. It's just that something I was working on for a very long time. And I kind of put it on the back burner, and I kind of felt like it wasn't an option. It wasn't even possible. And to say that you're doing it, it kind of just triggered me in that way. But don't get it mistaken. I'm very happy for you. But now it's going to inspire me to kind of look back into that direction again, because it may be something that I still want to do there. There may be something there that I still might want to create or expand, right? And we can use those triggers as motivations, right? And you can be honest with that friend. And I wouldn't say be honest when they tell you the good news, like, you know, oh, I'm pregnant, if you're a person that's trying for a baby or something like that. I wouldn't say, okay, oh, you know, while I'm happy for you, I've been having miscarriage after miscarriage. They don't want to hear that on the good news day. You can do it later. It's like, if you felt anything weird about me when I was congratulating you and being happy for you, it's really just because, and do it after you've went through the emotion, after you've maybe shed a tear, if it goes that deep, and then give them that information afterwards so they can feel like, you know what? I understand that, because this is a human experience. Everybody has dealt with this on some level and in some space, right? If you say you haven't, I'd be really shocked. I'd be really happy to hear your story and see exactly how you got away with not feeling a negative feeling when someone else gets something that you truly, truly wanted and you didn't think was possible for yourself anymore. The point is, how do you react to that, and what do you do with that information? If you run off and just become a hater about it and be like, didn't nobody want that anyway? That's not really an accomplishment. I could have did that years ago. You know how many people told me, well, there are different things that I've accomplished in life that they could have did that years ago, but it wasn't important to them. I'm like, that's fine, but why in this moment do you feel the need to tell me that, right? Especially when it comes to things like buying houses or stuff like that, people will say that kind of stuff to you. Like, I could have bought a house a long time ago. But yeah, that's fine and dandy though. But in this particular moment, you haven't, and I have. And I'm not saying that is like, I'm so much better. But what I mean is that stop acknowledging things in that way, because it just comes off like a hater energy. You know what I mean? Because nobody's really doing anything so much better than other people that other people can't accomplish. But if you choose the moment to say, I could have did that a long time ago, I could have had that a long time ago, I could have been, that means that you got some of that little hater energy in it with you. I've seen this a lot when it comes to women with like being married or something, because a lot of people still hold on to that ideal as being some sort of completion for a human to some degree, rather than just extra, which is, you know, in my mindset, it's like, you know, icing on the cake. It's not necessarily something that is gonna, you know, 360 your being should be 360 already. And I was like, and they're like, you know, oh, marriage isn't special. I could have been married a long time ago. Well, that might be fine and dandy though, but you already know the difference is that you could have been, you didn't want the people that were wanting you. You didn't want the type of man or the type of relationship that was reaching towards you. And the one that you would want has not arrived in your life. And so instead of saying that part, because it's vulnerable, it leaves you open. It makes you feel like, you know, somebody else has something that I don't have, and it's like they're looking and they're acting like they're so much better, or they have something that I don't have. Maybe they are. Maybe they're acting like they are better because they have that thing. But what I've learned about that type of attitude is that is the quickest way for you to be shot down is to think that some material thing or some outside thing besides yourself is making you better than other people. That is the quickest way to be brought all the way back down to earth, right? But to say that, I could have did that a long time ago is not even important. It really shows, I'm not even thinking of a better word today than kind of like a hater energy towards somebody else and what they feel like is an accomplishment, because, we all feel like different things are accomplishments, right? It's not always the same. And this is just a reminder to pay attention to your reactions. And this is an excellent exercise in becoming more self-aware and more honest with ourselves, because I feel like a lot of times we have these feelings and we have things occur in our lives. And because we're not completely honest with ourselves, we tell ourselves whatever it is that makes us feel better in that moment. But if we're being truly honest, it may make us feel crappy at first, but then we can get to the root of it. We can get to the root of things and we can have more open communication with others, right? So if you're inspired by someone else when they share their happy news, let them know that. That's perfectly okay. But don't just go, oh, interesting, and then duck off and then show up 2 years later with the same accomplishment and be like, yeah, I was doing that. It's okay to tell people that you were inspired by something that they were working on. And if you're around people that you don't feel the need to say that to, then there's an issue with the people you're surrounding yourself with, right? It's okay to tell people you're inspired by this or that or whatever, what they're doing, right? There's people in my life all the time that they're doing things. I have a professor friend right now who's like, I feel like living it up when it comes to what you can do with a professorship and traveling the world and teaching courses and developing programs in all of these things, piloting programs. And that's definitely something that I always wanted to do and get involved in. I don't look at her and go, she's annoying. I'm looking like, dang, this is what I need to surround myself with, because I love her approach to life. I love what she's doing. I love what she's creating. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And I'm easily inspired because I'm always looking for more and exciting and beautiful things to do. Over the past few years, I remember not being so great with my finances. And I'm not saying bottom of the barrel, not great, but it's like I was doing okay, but not as well as I should. And I mean attracting finances and knowing what to do with it once attracting it, and organizing my life to create some type of consistent income and stuff like that. Like I was really lacking in that space, where I wound up coming across someone who had that thing really together, right? And so instead of being feeling negative towards them or trying to put them down or saying what they were doing wasn't important, I took a lot of notes. I paid a lot of attention. I always looked at it as a thing like, hey, this person was sent in your space to show you where you're not at when it comes to your finances. I didn't look at that person and say, oh, I hate you and I'm so annoyed by you and money's not that important. People always do that kind of, I'm like, it's important when you want to do things. It's important when you got to go places. It's important when you got to take care of kids, It's not the most important thing, but it's a very important aspect of our existence here in this 3D, right? And I looked at that, and even though it wasn't a positive, totally positive connection in a lot of ways, it was, for me, that was one of the biggest things that I take away and learn from that interaction, was that this person was on it when it came to organizing their finances and making sure that things were in order. And if they weren't, they were really good at showing it. But you have to look at that when you see people. And if you're around people who don't want you to extract that positive information from them, that's an issue, because they should be okay with hearing your happy news, and you should be okay with hearing their happy news. And if there's some type of, icky feelings in there, think about these things that I told you. Think about, what it might be. And if it's something that you were aiming for, that you put down and that you wanted to pick back up, because a lot of times that's mainly it. It's something that we want for ourselves, that we didn't believe in ourselves for, that we feel like it's not possible, or we feel like it's something that is out of our reach, and then somebody else comes along and has it, and you're like, you know what I mean? Instead of just congratulating people for the happiness or the joy that they've created in their life and their existence, right? Anyway, this was my little video on handling other people's good news, because there's been places where I don't share good news. I don't share exciting things, because I know that the people or the place is not going to feel good about it. They're not going to be happy for me. They're going to feel like it's a personal attack on what they're not doing. So I'm just like, just keep it to yourself. If they ask, that's something different. But if they don't, Just keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself. Because you want to share that information in a place where it grows, right? Because some people can't help but hear your happy news as a reflection upon what they're not doing no matter what. So it's nothing you can do about that. Anyway, have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day.